tuning in to Local News Live, a production of AOC Community Media in partnership with the Acadiana Advocate. Every Monday through Friday, between the hours of 9 a.m. and 10 a.m., we bring you the printed news in an audio format, and we could only do that with the generous efforts of our volunteer newsreaders, people like Mr. Bruce Cohen, who's here with us today on Thanksgiving Day. And today we're giving thanks for Bruce Cohen. Thanks, Bruce.
Well, thanks, man. Every morning that you and I do the news together, I give thanks to you. Otherwise, I wouldn't be able to read it over my home studio if it wasn't for you. So a very wonderful Thanksgiving to you and your family and your loved ones.
Well, and I'm glad that we're able to do this and that I'm able to be a part of it. And thank you to the listeners out there and to everyone who's out there on Thanksgiving. Thanks, Bruce. I'm going to go listen on Cypress Street.
Thank you, Matt. Well, good morning, Acadiana. Today is November 26th, Thanksgiving Day, 2020. It has been a very unusual year, to say the least. But we're going to start off with a very Thanksgiving-y story, or a very bright story to brighten up today, at least, because this year has been a very unusual and a very tough one for many of us out there. So we'll start off with a story by Katie Gagliano titled, "We Can All Be a Little Better. New mutual aid effort aims to combat food insecurity through community fridge." A group of Lafayette residents is launching a mutual aid effort to encourage neighbors to combat food insecurity in the city parish and take community care into their own hands. The effort, Lafayette Community Fridge, was born out of a conversation on social media and a desire to do good in the community that evolved into a core team of 4 mutual friends probing its networks of friends, family, and acquaintances to turn their community empowerment project into a tangible reality. The idea is straightforward. Someone hosts a publicly accessible fridge on their property protected by a weatherproof structure that community members both donate to and take food or drinks from when they're in need. The concept is based on similar efforts in cities including New Orleans, Los Angeles, and New York City. Lafayette residents Jessica Ellis, an accountant, and Erin Quinn, a massage therapist and yoga teacher, said food insecurity and limited access to fresh food in city food desserts, especially in low-income communities, have been persistent and problems only exacerbated by the coronavirus pandemic's increased job losses and homelessness. People shouldn't have to stress about where their next meal will come from or how they'll feed their children, they said. When people's basic needs are met and they don't have to stress about that, then they have a lot more time to improve themselves and also their communities. If we just give and take a little bit, then we can all be a little bit better, Ellis said. The group purchased its first fridge Saturday with funds from another local organization after a planned donation fell through. The first fridge's location is still being negotiated. The group is in talks with property owners in the Laplace neighborhood around Simcoe Street and off 11th Street and about possible homes for it, they said. Once the location is secured, the group will build a weatherproof structure for the fridge, like a shed, with a waterproof curtain or easy access door to protect the fridge from the elements, plus shelves for dried and canned foods. A large bottle of pump hand sanitizer will also be available for users to sanitize before and after accessing the fridge, Ellis said. Lafayette Community Fridge is also exploring hiring a local artist to beautify the structure to add another layer of care to the project, the woman said. I think if it looks welcoming and it's of community effort, it shows people that we're all in this together and this is a good addition to our community. I'm sure that it's hard to be in that position, so the more we can do it to make it bright and stand out and attract people is ideal, Quinn said. There are several options for supporting the community fridge effort. People interested can volunteer time stocking the fridge, donate food and goods to the fridge, donate funds to support grocery purchases, volunteer able to build a structure or offer to house a community fridge on their property, they said. Fridge hosts would typically assume the fridge's electrical bill, but funding assistance is possible if cost is a deterrent to someone interested in hosting a fridge on their property, the woman said. Once the first community fridge is in operation, the team will establish a daily volunteer schedule to assess the fridge's stock, ensure cleanliness, review expiration dates on donated goods, and throw out anything that may have spoiled, LUS said. The mutual aid group is aiming to stock the fridge with a combination of individual donations and prepared meal donations from partner restaurants and vendors. The team currently has one restaurant lined up for recurring, potentially weekly prepared food donations, LUS said. Quinn said all food donations are welcome except for raw meat, but the group recommends supporters consider donations with a larger shelf life. Donations can be large or small. Those interested could bring fruit from their tree that's overproducing or buy an extra bag of potatoes while they're grocery shopping to bring to the fridge, she said. Homemade meals are also welcome, but donors should wear gloves and a mask when preparing the food to prevent the spread of diseases like COVID-19. And all meals should be labeled with their ingredients, Quinn said. A goal of the fridge, beyond providing stable access to food for those in need, is to give people a sense of investment in their community and their neighbors' well-being. Person-to-person service on a grassroots level can meet needs being missed by larger charitable organizations, they said. I think it will help people get in touch with their humanity. We're so self-absorbed in what we're doing. I think this will help us meet people we've never met, help people we didn't know needed help. I'm hoping it will open eyes to the fact that there are people all around us that need love and respect, Quinn said. The Lafayette Community Fridge Leader plan to partner with other mutual aid and food insecurity organizations in the city parish area to raise awareness once the fridge is operational. A safe doorkeeping and neighborhood canvassing campaign is also being planned. The eventual goal is to ensure sustainable operation of the fridge with a solid and growing base of contributors and families served. Then expand the mutual aid effort to other locations, creating a network of community fridges, LUS said. My hope is that it grows and it's not something that lasts for a little while and dies off. I really hope the momentum picks up even more, and I hope that we can make a difference in our little communities, Quinn said. And there's no information in the article whether they have a Facebook page or a website. Hopefully they will, or if they don't already have one, hopefully they will in the very near future. But I would just check it out, go to your browser and put in the Lafayette Community Fridge, see if anything comes up. So if you want to become a volunteer or find out how to donate, I gave you some specifics, then please contribute. And really, there's a statement that comes to mind when I read this article. It really takes a village. It really does, folks. It takes all of us to help each other out. Not necessarily to help people out or give a hand out, but give a hand up. We all need help from time to time. It's a good story. Well, continuing with the news, loophole allows some bars to avoid shutdown. Dozens in Lafayette obtained restaurant licenses by Ben Meyer, staff writer. Governor John Bel Everett's latest coronavirus restrictions announced Tuesday confirmed what already seemed inevitable. Lafayette Parish bars will once again be forced to close for indoor drinking amid a raging surge in new infections. Yet more than 24 Lafayette Parish bars or establishments that are locally known as bars and which function as such will be allowed to stay open, albeit with new capacity restrictions. They are among hundreds of licensed Louisiana bars that have obtained conditional restaurant licenses since July, when the governor shut down bars the first time. And this story is by Ben Myers. I don't know if I mentioned that. He is the staff writer for this article. Restaurants and bars operate under different coronavirus rules, including a ban on indoor drinking for bars in high positivity parishes, but not for restaurants. 1/3 of Lafayette Parish's 110 bars have recently obtained conditional restaurant licenses, which allowed them to operate under rules for restaurants, according to a review of the Office of Alcohol and Tobacco Control online database. Edwards said Tuesday that 372 bars across the state have done the same. Restaurants must provide for socially distanced seating, and customers must remain seated. Food sales must accompany all drink sales. Dancing is not allowed. Masks are required except when consuming food or beverages. Under Edwards' orders announced Tuesday, restaurant capacity is reduced from 75% to 50%. In addition to the coronavirus rules, restaurants must earn more sales from food than alcohol. But state authorities cannot immediately verify compliance with the sales requirement and instead rely on the word of the proprietors when issuing restaurant licenses. Applicants must sign and notarize an application that asks if food service is a primary business purpose. It depends on them being truthful, says Stan Harris, executive director of the Louisiana Restaurant Association. When you sign that permit application, you are attesting to certain things. When you file your reports with the State Office of Alcohol and Tobacco Control on your revenue breakdown, you are attesting to these things. You are, in fact, saying that you are telling the truth. State revenue agents are fanning out to audit the new restaurant licenses, but it will be months before they can weed out bad actors. Meanwhile, Lafayette's fall virus surge has quickly spiraled, with some bars and entertainment venues openly defying restrictions by advertising indoor live music and dance parties on social media. The weekly positivity rate more than doubled in the second week in November from 1.7% to 10.1%, according to the health department. Nighttime crowds have swelled on Jefferson Street, where half a dozen bars recently obtained conditional restaurant licenses. They include The Office, which received a restaurant license on September 30th. On November 21st, state fire investigators found customers there dancing without masks, overcrowding, and spacing violations, according to an inspector's report. The bar's Instagram account advertised $3 drinks and house shots the night of the inspection, along with the DJ. A sign on the side of the bar notes that it is now serving pizza and advertises a free drink with pizza. None of the bar's social media accounts show a menu, nor is there any mention that food is required with every drink. What happens next for The Office is unclear. Fire inspectors allowed management to correct the violations on site and did not issue a citation, although the information was forwarded to the Office of Alcohol and Tobacco Control, according to the report. The ATC Commissioner, Ernest Legier, said the case has been assigned to an investigator. He declined further comment. One of the bar's owners, Eric Masiak, declined to be interviewed, but he acknowledged in an email statement that the inspection had turned up several shortcomings, which were addressed without a citation. Since reopening a little over a month ago, we have been learning, adjusting, and trying to find the best practices that provide a safe and fun environment, Makiak said. It's Masiak or Makiak, either one, take your pick. We are thankful for our customers and community. We strive to provide them with self-service in good times. While many bar owners are earnestly trying to transform their business model, even if temporarily, at least a few appear to be using the conditional licenses to buy time, said Kimberly Robinson, the state's revenue secretary. You are always going to have some people who aren't really interested in all the details, said Robinson. This is a small segment who just want to know what they need to do to make it. The Revenue Department plans to audit all new conditional licenses. Robinson said 2 months of sales are needed to do so. Prior to full-fledged audits, revenue agents made initial visits to review receipts on hand, she said. The initial snapshot visits are meant to help new licenses understand their requirements, Robinson said, and future audits will not necessarily result in discipline if sales fall a bit short. It's going to be a test of a reasonableness, Robinson said. A second consecutive week of 10% positivity would have triggered an automatic shutdown of Lafayette Parish bars under previous rules, which Edwards supplanted Tuesday. The new rules allow indoor drinking at bars at a quarter of normal capacity only when parishes are below 5% positivity rates. The new orders in some ways are better for bars, which can now open for limited outdoor seating even when positivity is high. Some of the conditional licenses were issued for a few weeks, while others, including the offices, are good for a year. A handful of those in Lafayette have lapsed since being issued, including a popular night spots such as Marley's on Jefferson Street and Scandal's nightclub in South Lafayette. Yet their plans during the indoor drinking ban are not clear. Representatives of both Marley's and Scandal's did not respond to multiple messages. Harris of the Restaurant Association said more bars are likely to follow suit. The deeper we get into this, the more they are going to have to look at their business and decide, do I really want to be a restaurant and try to operate that way? Or am I more comfortable operating as a bar? Harris said. Okay, we're going to look at a couple of public service announcements before we get back into the news. Vitalant, urgent need for blood donations. Blood and platelet donations often drop during the holiday months as fewer donors are available because of seasonal activities and illnesses. But this year, the outlook is particularly worrisome. With many schools transitioning to virtual learning and businesses in work-from-home situations, about 1,600 Vitalant blood drives have already been canceled for November and December. Currently, there is an urgent need for O-negative blood, an universal blood type that all patients can receive. O-negative donors can maximize their impact by giving a power red donation. We encourage donors to make an appointment by visiting vitalant.org, that's vitalant.org, or you can call 877-25-VITAL, VITAL. BVB announces Thanksgiving food drive as Acadiana looks to enjoy cooler weather in the holiday season starting with Thanksgiving. It is important to remember our community during these trying times. As part of their impact initiative, Better Business Bureau, Serving Acadiana is hosting a food drive through November 30th, which is next Monday. Food donations can be dropped off to the BBB office at 4003 West Concord Street in Lafayette, and will be given to Second Harvest Food Bank in their efforts to end hunger. The Triple B team will pick up donations if requested. Second Harvest suggested donation items include non-perishable foods and supplies, preferably in non-glass containers. These items include grains such as cereal, pasta, rice, and flour, evaporated and dry milk, cooking oils, canned fruits and vegetables, dried fruits, proteins including canned meats, dried beans, and peanut butter, coffee, paper products, diapers, and cleaning products. Requests for mosquito control now available through Lafayette 311, Mosquito Prevention and Safety. Lafayette Consolidated Government, or LCG, is increasing mosquito abatement efforts in the parish. An increase in mosquito activity is a common occurrence following a storm event like many we've had this season, this hurricane season, which supposed to end on Monday. Citizens noticing an influx of mosquitoes in the area can now use the Lafayette 311 portal to request service. All submitted requests are routed directly to Mosquito Control Services, the mosquito control contractor for the parish. Okay, well, let's go back into our news for the day. 3 former Louisiana senators offer praise for Biden by Tyler Bridges, staff writer. He would enter the Senate floor and immediately stroll over to the nearest group of senators to visit. It doesn't matter whether they were Republicans or Democrats. He was affable, ambitious, wore his heart on his sleeve, and was a straight shooter. And if he got up to speak, well, you had to be prepared to sit and listen for a long time. That's how the 3 former Democratic senators from Louisiana who served with President-elect Joe Biden remember him during his 36 years in the Senate. Most every encounter with Joe Biden, you'd find senators say it was pleasant. Everybody likes Joe, said Bennett Johnson, who served with Biden the longest, from 1973 to 1997. Biden's ability to make good on his policy proposals will rely in part on whether bonds forged over decades will count for anything in a deeply partisan Washington. Throughout the campaign, Biden has urged those relationships will help bring Republicans to the table. Some of his former Louisiana colleagues are hopeful. He was outgoing, that's his nature, said John Breaux, who served with Biden from 1987 to 2005. He was always patting people and hugging people. It's not in a phony way. He was very insecure. He was just a genuine person who people liked. That's going to serve him tremendously in the White House. Mary Landrieu, who replaced Johnson in 1997 and served for Biden until he left the Senate in 2009 to become vice president, also has warm memories and likes to tell a story that involves his speechifying. Democrats were holding a retreat during Landrieu's first term, and Biden got up to speak one day. People love and respect him, Landrieu said, but there was this collective sigh, like, we're going to be listening to him for 30 minutes. Indeed, Biden started slow, then revved up and expounded with great passion on the subject. But then Biden stopped, Landrieu said with a laugh, not because another senator interrupted, but because Senator Edward Kennedy's dog Splash, lying at his master's feet, began to howl. The whole room fell apart, Landrieu recalled. Ted Kennedy had tears running down his face. The only person who could get Joe Biden to stop talking was Splash. For months we laughed and laughed about it, Biden included, she noted. David Vitter, a Republican who replaced Breaux in the Senate in 2005 and served with Biden until he became vice president in 2009, did not respond to an interview request for this article. Louisiana's two current senators, Bill Cassidy and John Kennedy, both Republicans, did not serve alongside Biden. Johnston, who entered the Senate the same year as Biden, remembered having lunch with him soon after both had arrived in Washington. They shared personal stories, with Biden discussing how he had just lost his wife and young daughter in a car accident. His two young sons were recovering. Johnston was impressed on how Biden was trying to move forward and put his life back together without burdening others with his grief. For years, Biden really socialized with the other senators after hours, Johnston remembered, because he would take the train home to Wilmington every night to be with his two sons. Biden's Louisiana colleagues said they particularly liked working with him because he never tried to push them to support an issue if doing so would cause them political trouble in Louisiana. He was not a theoretical politician, said Breaux. He didn't operate in the make-believe world. He understood people and their needs for their states. If Biden won something like getting Johnston to use his power as chair of the Senate Appropriations Committee to approve a major bridge in Delaware in the early 1980s, he would marshal his facts. There was no arm twisting, Johnston said. It was friendly persuasion. Biden was known for his expertise on an array of subjects, but especially foreign policy. Johnston remembered their conversation on the plane in 2014 to the funeral of a former colleague, Howard Baker, a Republican from Tennessee. Biden by then was vice president. Johnston was no longer in the Senate. We went through things in the Middle East, Johnston said. He was relaxed and could name every actor in the Middle East, some I never heard of. He was very knowledgeable, and not just as a foreign policy wonk, but as one of the participants. He will know all of the foreign policy events playing out right now. Jonathan thinks Biden has been getting a bad rap with President Donald Trump's put-downs. For Trump to criticize him as dumb is just the opposite of truth, Johnston said. He added, now, his stutter is manifesting itself. A lot of people think it's because he's losing a step. That has nothing to do with this high degree of intelligence. Johnston added that Biden's boyhood speech impediment really revealed itself when they served together in the Senate. Let me read that sentence again. Johnston added that Biden's boyhood speech impediment really revealed itself when they served together in the Senate. I never noticed it until the last 2 or 3 years, he said. Breaux, calling Biden a creature of the Senate, predicted that the incoming president will soon find room to pass legislation in a divided Senate, even assuming that Senator Mitch McConnell, the Republican from Kentucky, remains majority leader. McConnell was in control to a point, Breaux said, but he noted that Senator Lisa Murkowski of Alaska and Senator Susan Collins of Maine are two Republicans who could support Biden on some issues for the good of their states. If Republicans win the 2 Senate races in Georgia in January, McConnell could face a 50-50 tie on votes when he loses Murkowski and Collins. In such a scenario, Senator Kamala Harris of California, the incoming vice president, would break the tie. He knows how to work both sides of the aisle, Breaux said. I know that he's already reached out to Republican senators. Next story, solar farms grow share of Louisiana electricity. $540 million in projects at the Baton Rouge area by Christian Moss Brucker. I'm not sure if I mentioned it, but the last article was written by Tyler Bridges. I usually do mention it, but for some reason it felt like I didn't. But this article, Solar Farms Go Share of Louisiana Electricity, is by Christian Moss Brucker, staff writer. Over the next 3 years, it could be enough solar-generated electricity in Louisiana to power 60,000 homes in a state rich with oil and gas and crisscrossed with pipelines. Although natural gas remains a dominant power source in the state, with nuclear, coal, and hydroelectric trailing far behind, solar is inching into play in a movement toward diversifying power sources and bolstering renewable energy to replace aging facilities, and particularly coal, to reduce emissions and fight climate change. That solar movement in Louisiana for now is being driven by Entergy Louisiana as a purchaser of electricity through long-term contracts with companies that are building and operating solar farms. Southeast Louisiana is emerging as a hub for 6 or 7 solar farms that will produce nearly 600 megawatts of electricity combined. 2 are already constructed in West Baton Rouge and New Orleans East. 2 are under construction in Washington and St. James parishes, and 3 more were put out by Entergy for proposals in West Baton Rouge, East Feliciana, and Morehouse parishes. Separately, Pineville-based electric utility CLECO, which has a regulated unit serving 24 parishes primarily in central and south Louisiana, and an unregulated unit serving 9 Louisiana electric cooperatives, announced it's looking to add 400 megawatts of solar electricity. The company said as existing resources are retired, replacement capacity is expected to come primarily from new renewable technologies. This summer, CLECO sought to help from an independent consultant to structure its new venture into building a solar farm portfolio, according to Louisiana Public Service Commission records. However, the process is not far enough along for companies to start submitting proposals for projects. And to that, more than 100 megawatts of electricity are already being generated from privately owned solar panels sitting on the rooftops of individual residents or on commercial buildings. In Louisiana, with long, hot summers and wet, chilly winters, 1 megawatt power is the equivalent of 100 homes. The nearly 600 megawatts of electricity the Entergy-linked solar farms will generate for the power grid would match production of 1 small-scale natural gas-fired power plant and be a small portion of the power produced in the state. To put that 600 megawatts into perspective, solar power would amount to just 3% of the utility and public power generation capacity in Louisiana if it were part of the current mix, compared with natural gas at 70.9%, nuclear power 11.3%, coal 9.6%, petroleum, coke, and liquids 4.9%, and hydroelectric and biomass 0.3%. As we retire our low sulfur coal power generation, Entergy will evaluate the appropriate mix of replacement resources as part of our continued effort to reliably provide power at the lowest reasonable cost while mitigating customers' exposure to cost and reliability risk, Entergy has said. The resources that will replace this low sulfur coal power generation will be a diverse mix of power generation, which will include zero carbon renewable energy resources. But it is unclear whether the addition of solar energy to the grid, the cheapest new construction electricity option on the market, would drive down electric bills for commercial and residential customers. Said it's likely the new electricity generation cost, as with the addition of any other new capacity, would be added to monthly bills spread across all ratepayers. For example, a 20 megawatt solar farm in New Orleans added about $1.50 to the monthly bill of ratepayers there. With West Baton Rouge Parish saw the state's first utility-scale solar farm, 50 megawatts, that is being connected to the power grid under a 20-year power supply contract with Entergy. The facility was recently acquired by Helios Infrastructure, a joint venture between Solar Systems and publicly traded Nationwide Insurance. In New Orleans, East, the smaller 20-megawatt solar farm tied to Entergy cost $42 million, while a solar farm similar in size to the one in West Baton Rouge cost $78 million. Two solar farms controlled by New York-based D.E. Shaw Investments are under construction. The Iris project in Washington Parish on LSU Agricultural Center property, and in St. James Parish, totaling another 70 megawatts of solar power for the grid in 2021. The Washington Parish solar farm is estimated to cost $75 million and St. James $30 million, according to state economic incentives records. Entergy is following a similar plan to hit net zero emissions by 2050 and stop the use of coal that represents 4% of its owned and leased electricity generation portfolio. To make that happen, the company expects the future to stop using coal at Nelson 6 in Louisiana and at its Arkansas coal plants by 2030. By 2022, Entergy expects to have 381 megawatts of solar in its Arkansas portfolio. All right, it's 9:31. It's the half-hour mark, so we will go to our day in history and the zodiac and horoscope, as I like to refer to it. And I believe there are no funerals listed for the Acadiana area today. Today in history, today is Thursday, Thanksgiving, November 26th, 331st day of 2020. There are potentially 35 shopping days left in the year. And of course, tomorrow is Black Friday. Today's highlight in history on November 26, 2000, Florida Secretary of State Katherine Harris certified George W. Bush the winner over Al Gore in the state's presidential balloting by a 537-vote margin. On this date in 1789, Americans observed a day of Thanksgiving set aside by President George Washington to mark the adoption of the Constitution of the United States. In 1883, former slave and abolitionist Sojourner Truth died in Battle Creek, Michigan. In 1941, U.S. Secretary of State Cordell Hull delivered a note to Japan's ambassador in the United States, Kishibaru Nomura, setting forth U.S. demands for lasting and extensive peace throughout the Pacific area. The same day, a Japanese naval task force consisting of 6 aircraft carriers left the Kuril Islands headed toward Hawaii. 1943, during World War II, the HMT Rona, a British transport ship carrying American soldiers, was hit by a German missile off Algeria. 1,138 men were killed. Also on this date in 1950, China entered the Korean War, launching a counter-offensive against soldiers from the United Nations, the U.S., and South Korea. 1973, President Richard Nixon's personal secretary, Rosemary Woods, told a federal court that she accidentally caused part of the 18.5-minute gap in the key Watergate tape. 1986, President Ronald Reagan appointed a commission headed by former Senator John Tower to investigate his National Security Council staff in the wake of the Iran-Contra affair. 1992, the British government announced that Queen Elizabeth II had volunteered to start paying taxes on her personal income and would take her children off the public payroll. In 2008, teams of heavily armed Pakistani gunmen stormed luxury hotels, a popular tourist attraction, and a crowded train station in Mumbai, India, leaving at least 166 people dead and a rampage lasting some 60 hours. 10 years ago, today, 19-year-old Somali-born Mohammed Osman Mohammed was arrested by federal agents in Portland, Oregon after an elaborate sting operation in which Mohammed was led to believe he would be detonating a van of explosives during the city's Christmas tree lighting ceremony. Mohammed was later sentenced to 30 years in prison. 5 years ago, French President Francois Hollande and Russian President Vladimir Putin agreed to tighten cooperation in the fight against the Islamic State group. 1 year ago, heavy snow and wind shut down highways in Colorado and Wyoming and forced more than 1,000 travelers to sleep overnight in Denver's airport after hundreds of flights were canceled as the Thanksgiving travel period went into high gear. Looking at today's birthdays, Impressionist Rich Little is 82 years old today. I can't believe Rich Little is still up there and doing impressions. Singer Tina Turner is swinging it and rocking it at 81 years of age. Pop musician John McVeigh, 75, from Fleetwood Mac. That's where the Mac comes from. Fleetwood Mac, get it? Fleetwood was is the last name of the drummer, and McVeigh was the bassist. Fleetwood Mac. Actor Scott Jacoby is 64. Country singer Linda Davis is 58 today. Blues singer-musician Bernard Allison is 55. Actor Peter Fancelli is 47. DJ record label executive DJ Khaled is 45. Country singer Joe Nichols, 44. Actor Jessica Bowman is 40. Pop singer Natasha Bedingfield is 39. And rock musician Ben Wysocki from The Fray is 36 years old today. Looking at the zodiac or the horoscope on this Thanksgiving Turkey Day, Sagittarius, November 23rd through December 21st. You can say Turkey Day or Tofurkey Day if you're a vegan. So Sagittarius, improve your surroundings. Your lifestyle will impact your attitude and ability to forge ahead with confidence. Trust and believe in yourself, not in what someone wants you to believe. Capricorn, December 22nd through January 19th. It's good to be passionate about something, but not when it gets in the way of success. Settle down and refuse to let anger, ego, and frustration take charge. Aquarius, January 20th through February 19th. Make plans that will help you capitalize on your skills, concentrate on what you enjoy doing and what you do well. Ignore people who don't believe in you. Do your own thing. Pisces, February 20th through March 20th. Mixed emotions will stand between you and what you want to accomplish. Be patient and focus on your objective, and doors will open. The help you need will appear. Aries, March 21st through April 19th. Pay closer attention to contracts, money matters, and partnerships. Be aggressive, but don't let anger or frustration take the reins. Remain calm and offer sound suggestions. Taurus, April 20th through May 20th. You're overdue for a change. Consider how you would like to present who you are to the world. An opportunity to ask someone to repay a favor will help you professionally and personally. Gemini, May 21st through June 20th. Take care of your responsibilities. If you rely on romance, you'll be disappointed. Refrain from sharing too much information or presenting something you are working on prematurely. Cancer, June 21st through July 22nd. Get involved in something you care about and make a difference. Refuse to let anyone bait you into an argument. Don't be afraid to do things differently. Leo, July 23rd through August 22nd. Give others the same freedom you want to return. Don't waste time trying to change someone's mind. A change someone makes may not be to your liking, but it will be beneficial in the end. Virgos, my birth sign, August 23rd through September 22nd. Sort through what you need and want. A change of plans will give you the chance to explore different lifestyles. You will discover you have more options than you really realize. Libras, September 23rd through October 23rd. Pay closer attention to your relationship with others. Don't start something you cannot finish. Uncertainty will prevail if you send mixed messages. A physical outlet will help clear your mind. And finally, Scorpios, October 24th through November 22nd. Pay closer attention to your responsibilities. Don't leave anything undone or to chance. Use your intellect and intuition, and you'll find the best solution. And as always, my friends, the horoscope is an entertainment feature, not based on scientific fact. Okay. Here's an article called Taking It Outside. City Council member making strides toward outdoor gym at Lafayette Middle by Katie Gagliano, staff writer. Lafayette City Council member Nanette Cook is pushing to expand Lafayette's outdoor exercise offerings with a new fitness court at Lafayette Middle School, a partnership between Lafayette Consolidated Government and the Lafayette Parish School System that will allow public use of the facility outside of school hours. The Lafayette Parish School Board approved $10,000 as a fundraising match for the project at its October 14th board meeting. Cook of District 4 has now secured $80,000 for the project with $50,000 left to go until the outdoor gym is fully funded. Cook said the goal is to finalize funding by March to ensure delivery and installation of the gym for early summer. She says she's launching a final fundraising push to complete the project, and an account will be opened at the Lafayette Community Foundation to hold donations. The National Fitness Campaign Fitness Court is a 38 by 38 foot gym with 130 elements, including polymetric boxes, a shock absorbing sports floor, powder coated carbon steel pull-up bars and rings. The court supports bodyweight exercises focused on 7 key zones: core, squat, push, lunge, pull, agility, and bend, according to the National Fitness Campaign website. The organization operates a 3-part app that provides short workouts for each zone and allows users to enroll in challenges against fitness court users nationwide. The court will be the 3rd in Louisiana. 2 are in use in Baton Rouge and Ruston, its website said. Cook, a physical education teacher at Cathedral Carmel School, has always been passionate about wellness and the impact physical health can save and can have on emotional health and overall happiness. Cook's father, the late Al Simon, taught PE, coached and later taught kinesiology at the University of Louisiana at Lafayette. His devotion to an active life rubbed off on her, Cook said. My passion is fitness and exercise and making people take responsibility for their health and feel good about themselves. Some people just naturally enjoy movement. Some people who have to give them a push and encouragement, Cook said. Exercise should also be accessible to all people through free and low-cost options, she said, that are attractive to community members and encourage them to be active, an ethos shared by the National Fitness Campaign. The more diverse exercise options that exist, the more people you can entice to regularly incorporate working out into their lifestyle, she said. Right now, with the coronavirus pandemic still a major local and national concern, it's wise to explore national investment in outdoor exercise options that offer access to the open air and the ability to distance, Cook said. Everybody needs to exercise and stay healthy, both physically and mentally. If we can have these opportunities and show people there are no barriers with this, then all you have to do is get yourself over there and you have the opportunity to do a fitness activity for free. If nothing else, maybe it opens up their mind to see what's out there, Cook said. Lafayette School System and the Lafayette Consolidated Government are eyeing a section of Lafayette Middle School yard off Jasmine Street for the fitness court. The area is accessible to students for potential physical education workouts, but easy to secure with fencing and a gate for public access. It's in a shady area to provide cover from the sun and near a parking lot that could potentially be used by exercisers, the councilwoman said. Kate Bailey LeBou, the District's 7 school board representative, worked with Cook from the school system to help make the project a reality. The 2 government entities are nearing completion of a cooperative endeavor agreement to lay out the final points of liability, equipment, warranty, and security at the campus, she said. Because students may use the court's app, the school system has to ensure students' information can't be accessed by third-party users and that the accessible content is appropriate and can fall within the system's educational use Wi-Fi filters, LeBou said. The mother of 2 says she's excited because Lafayette Middle doesn't have a track or formal outdoor athletic field, so the fitness court will give students an outlet for physical activity outdoors. It'll also show them ways to use technology to set goals, self-motivate, and benefit their health, she said. LeBou and Cook said the project is an illustration of how interagency cooperation can be used to leverage a project to yield the most benefits for the most people. When we work in silos, we can only accomplish the narrow paths that we know about. The less we work as individuals and the more we try to collaborate as a community, the more opportunities and projects we can bring to fruition, LeBou said. My passion is fitness and exercise and making people take responsibility for their health and feel good about themselves. Some people just naturally enjoy movement. Some people you have to give them a push and encourage them, Ms. Cook said. Okay, study to test the river's effects on swamp. Project will try challenging a chapelized flow to bolster ecosystems. Article by Haley Parker, staff writer. For more than half a century, the old river control structure has regulated the flows of the Mississippi and Atchafalaya rivers, preventing the all-important Mississippi from changing course. Now, for the first time, the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers is going to team up with an environmental group to experiment with using the structure to bolster the swamps and forests surrounding the Atchafalaya. South of Morgan City, the 1 million acre Atchafalaya River Basin gives way to Atchafalaya Bay, one of the few areas along Louisiana's coast that is building land. However, upriver from the bay, the flow of river water and sediment has been disrupted in the basin due to changes made to accommodate ships and oil and gas pipelines. In some cases, water flows in the wrong direction through the system, causing flooding that harms forests, according to the Nature Conservancy. Plans for the new Atchafalaya River project calls for scientists from the Nature Conservancy to partner with the Corps to eventually test whether changes to the river's flow could improve the basin's health. The old river control structure is authorized to send 30% of the Mississippi River's flow down the Atchafalaya annually, leaving some flexibility in the flow day to day. On a given day, the flow may be slightly above or below 30%, averaging out over the year. Karen Goutreau, the Nature Conservancy's Director of Government Relations, says scientists have long been curious about the possibility of using the old river control structure for more than flood control. Even when there's not a flood, it's being managed for flood control, so Goutreau. The Sustainable Rivers Partnership is asking the question, can we manage the old river flow for nature when flood control is not needed? Goutreau said the aim is to have different experimental flows mapped out and ready to test by the project's third year. The actual testing of those flows will depend on river conditions and flood control needs. We think this partnership is very exciting because we've never been able to ask these questions before, she said. By asking them, we added a potential new universe of possibilities for restoration in the basin and beyond. Goutreau added that the flows could send more or less water down the river and mimic the natural functions that have been broken, like trying to give habitats more time to dry out or adding more fresh water to the system. Whatever flow benefits the ecosystem, she said. The project is one of 9 selected to the Corps' National Sustainable Rivers Program, which aims to look at how modifying dam operations can enhance habitats while protecting communities from flooding and maintaining navigation channels. Cancer Foundation Board Leader to be honored by Adam Daigle, Acadiana Business Editor. Anita Levy, Board Chairperson for the Levy Cancer Foundation in Vermilion Parish since 2015, will be honored with the United Way of Acadiana's Women Who Mean Business Award next month. Levy is among 10 women who will be recognized during a virtual ceremony on the Acadian United Way of Acadiana's Facebook page at 6:30 p.m. December 9th. Yes. Foundation named for her parents, Irvin and Josephine Levy, who died from cancer, was established in 2013 to collaborate with Abbeville General Hospital to assure residents that seeking treatment for cancer was a realistic option. Each year, the foundation honors 2 breast cancer survivors who are presented a Class Courage Award in honor of their struggles with cancer, and also get a night of dinner and dancing with their guests, as well as door prizes and a silent auction in which all items are donated to the foundation by local vendors in the parish. In 1995, Levy became a participant with Boston University School of Medicine's The Black Women's Health Study, a long-term observational study to investigate the health problems of Black women over a long period of time in an attempt to improve their health. She is one of 64,500 Black women ages 21 to 69 from across the country enrolled with the program. Levy is also on the board of Abbeville General Hospital, president of the Vermilion Parish Council on Aging, past parish council president St. Teresa of the Child Jesus Catholic Church, and current vice president of the Ladies Altar Society, Eucharist minister, lector, and serves on several other boards. She was the 2012 recipient of the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Award from St. Teresa for outstanding service to church and community, the 27th 2017 recipient of the Bishop Service Award for the Diocese of Lafayette, and the 2019 recipient of the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Award and Parade Grand Marshal. Eunice man accused of robbing police officer's home. This is the crime blotter, which is put together by staff reports from the various staff writers at the Advocate. A Eunice man was arrested Sunday after he was accused of attempting to steal a television from a police officer's home, the St. Landry Parish Sheriff's Office said. Paul Marshall Fontenot, 47, was booked into the St. Landry Parish Jail on Sunday on account of simple burglary of an inhabited dwelling and criminal damage to property. His bail was set at $10,000. A statement from St. Landry Parish Sheriff's Office spokesperson, Deputy Chief Eddie Thibodeau, said. Police officer returned to his home near LA 13 on Sunday morning and saw the sliding glass door at the back of his residence have been shattered. Fontenot was inside the home and the officer subdued him before calling the sheriff's office for assistance, the statement said. Fontenot is listed as living at a residence on LA 13. The officer determined this 47-year-old was attempting to steal his television during the inventory of the home. A pair of rental homes intentionally set on fire. Lafayette firefighters are investigating after a pair of rental homes on Carmel Drive were intentionally set on fire early Tuesday. The fire department responded to a house fire in the 1100 block of Carmel Drive about 4:30 a.m. on Tuesday. Heavy smoke was coming from one of 3 vacant homes on a shared property when firefighters arrived, and the home's exterior was on fire. Fire was extinguished within 10 minutes, and the home sustained minor fire damage, spokesperson Alton Trahan said in a statement. Firefighters discovered a small fire in a second unsecured home on the property. Investigators determined both fires were intentionally set, he said. Both the homes were rental properties that had been vacant for roughly 2 weeks. Anyone with information about the fires should contact Crime Stoppers at 337-232-8477 or the Lafayette Fire Department at 337-291-8716. And looking at our sports story for today, Cajuns enforcer UL's defensive tackle Humphrey likes to throw his weight around like Kevin Foote, sports and staff writer for the Advocate. When 6'5", 330-pound Tayland Humphrey transferred to UL from Florida International before the 2019 season, there were many questions to answer, much progress to make, and a few issues to address. For starters, would he be eligible to play right away? As it turned out, Humphrey wasn't available at all last season. The next step for the big defensive tackle from Klein Oak in the Houston area was learning and adhering to the rules of Coach Billy Napier's program. He's done that. I'm proud of Tayland, Napier said. I think Tayland has really grown up as a person. Tayland came here first start and really bought into how we do things here. He's been awarded a scholarship as a result of that. Humphrey said in August, he turned over a new leaf, and I feel like this is a new Tayland. Still, there were a few other details that had to be worked out. Humphrey had to learn his teammates are his friends, and even if they lined up on the other side of the ball in practice. In other words, when UL's fifth-year senior caught an Arkansas State running back by the jersey and spun him around like a rag doll before depositing him on the line for a short gain November 5th, Napier knew he'd seen that before. We don't let him do that in practice, although I've been lying if I said he's never done that before, Napier laughed. He's a good teammate. He's learned how to practice. He learned that we're on the same team out there in practice. I think that's been part of the progression with him. Humphrey enjoys throwing his weight around on the field. It's pretty satisfying, he said. I like using my height and weight, and that was my first time being able to slam a dude without getting into trouble in practice. During his junior college days, Humphrey said he once knocked a running back out cold on the field after a hit. Deep down, Humphrey is often tempted to look at ball carriers as the enemy. Really, all of them, he said, when he asked when UL running back gets it more in practice, they all catch an equal beating. UL's coaches, though, made it clear there's a line not to be crossed. They got the message across pretty quick, Humphrey said, It happened one time. After that time, it was over with because we're not who we are without everybody being on the team. Unfortunately for UL opponents this season, the Cajuns coaching staff has taught Humphrey many things since he arrived on campus. So dramatic has the transformation been, Humphrey said he now sees the game through a completely different lens. And it's now 9:55, which means that our audio portion will discontinue at our television stations, but it will continue as I'm continuing to read this article and a few other announcements at the end of our broadcast this morning, that we continue to be heard on our online streaming station, which is Cypress Street Radio. That's CYPRESS Street Radio. Go to your browser, put in Cypress Street Radio, and go to the homepage, click the play button, or our YouTube station, which is AOC Community Media. So to continue with the story, I approached the game from a more mental standpoint now. He said, I used to be all physical, just go out there and dominate. Now it's more from a mental aspect. Okay, so they're in this formation. They're going to run this play. They've got them lined up here, so I know they're going there. It's reading plays. So far in 7 games this season, Humphrey has had 20 tackles, including 2 stops behind the line. I think Tayland has done a nice job, Napier said. He certainly made an impact on our defense. His statistics began to tell the story of that impact. Rarely he is not double teamed. What I like about nose guard the most is that I know that I'm so dominant that if I get a one-on-one block, I will win, Humphrey said. And I know if I get a double team, I'll be able to hold the double team and its linebackers with Farad Gardner, so Lorenzo McCaskill and Jordan Quibido will come behind me and come through the gap and make the play. TFL in the backfield. Though through the entire process, Humphrey said he's learned to love his time at UL. After transferring from FIU, Humphrey said he wasn't comfortable with the coaches. There were a lot of trust issues, so I decided to leave. Trust hasn't been a problem in Lafayette. Just the ability to just trust everybody, said Humphrey, who said he'll talk to the coaching staff after the season to decide if you're returning to UL or taking his chances with the NFL next year. That's the main thing. You want to be out there with people that you trust. I trust all my brothers. I know I'm going to be in my gap, and I know the rest of us is going to have the gap behind me, and Farad is going to have the gap in front of me. It's just developing that trust and knowing your teammate is going to be there when you need them. And although his first instinct as a football player is to be the king of the mountain, Humphrey has learned the value of teamwork. I feel like they put me in a better position to win, he said. They put me around a lot of better players. In my last schools, I really don't have this type of atmosphere and this type of platform to be on. We didn't have this type of structure that we have here. And for those who are Raging Cajun fans, their next game is November 23rd, or not November 23rd, I'm sorry. It's this Saturday, November 26th, yes, 28th, I'm sorry. Today's the 26th. This Saturday, the 28th, and the UL Raging Cajuns football team is now ranked 23rd in the nation. That's national rankings. UL is ranked 23rd, and they'll be at University of Louisiana Monroe. The game is at 2 p.m. Saturday, and you can watch it online at ESPN3. Okay, and that about wraps up the news, local and state and sports and day in history and all of that information for you on this Thanksgiving Day 2020. I wish you all well. I wish you all the best this holiday season. I wish you to be healthy, safe, and smart. Be smart, folks. Just be smart about this COVID thing. Wear your mask, social distance, listen to what the governor says so we can pare down the people who are getting sick so we can stop the spread. Just be smart about that. And listen, if you're coming into the new year here, if you're interested in doing some volunteer work, if you're at the university level, or if you're in an organization that requires you to do some community service, this is a perfect opportunity to get involved in something like that, because we offer the local news live here on AOC, every Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. We offer this free news service in collaboration with the Acadiana Advocate, which we appreciate their collaboration very much, and they give us all the news stories. And so you just go to aocinc.org, you click on the volunteer page and fill out the volunteer newspaper reading section or form, and Miss Mandy will get in touch with you. And we're all doing it from our home studios, until we can get back into the AOC podcast booth, which I miss terribly, just being able to go to AOC and see all my buddies there. But we have to do what's right now and make sure everybody's safe and healthy. So this is Bruce Cohen. I'll always be Bruce Cohen. Appreciate you tuning in this morning, and be kind to each other. Have a great Thanksgiving Day and weekend, and we'll see you on the phone.